Hey everyone, this is Elisa. Hi, how are you? I'm the founder and the host of the thriving Facebook group, The Spiritual Entrepreneurs, where we are hosting more than 17,000 members from around the world. And today we have one of our member with us. Her name is Tracy Neely. I'm super excited to have her here with us. And so I know you're excited to meet her too. So without further ado, let me tell you more about her. She's an intuitive transformational coach. She's passionate about helping female entrepreneurs who run a coaching business fast track their success by energetically transforming their mindset from the inside out so that they experience success in their life and business. All right, this is super exciting.
Hello.
Without further ado, let's welcome Tracy. Hello.
Hi, Elise. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much, Elise. I feel so blessed and honored to be here with you.
Awesome. So tell us more about you. What's your story?
Wow. What's really interesting is that my story actually started when I was diagnosed in my 20s with a really rare tumor in my jaw. And they wouldn't have even found it if I hadn't gone to just get my teeth cleaned and get an x-ray. So because of that, I've had multiple reconstructive surgeries and I had to learn how to talk again and eat again and all these things. But it kind of led me to healing my body. What I realized was that I healed my body, but my mindset was still off. I was not feeling very confident. I physically hid out in my apartment for a year. I didn't want anybody to see me. My self-esteem was at an all-time low. And one day I just got really sick of that. And I said, I've just had it. I know that God has something big for me and I am not living it. And I healed my body. I healed my mind. And I just became super passionate about helping women do the same because I just feel like our mindset can bring us closer to what we desire or further away from it. So I'm super passionate about helping women to transform that and do it in a way where there's flow, like there's a feminine energy with it, not like a pushing energy. And so we just get to release the fear and the doubt and all the things that are really holding us back from our greatness.
So how long did it take you to recover?
Oh my gosh. Well, like I said, I literally hid out for a year in my apartment because my face was the size of a basketball and I couldn't talk. And so I was too embarrassed for people to see me. I was a young woman and I was like, oh my gosh, am I going to ever date again? Am I going to ever get married? So it took me about 5 years to basically heal, not just the physical, but the mental and the spiritual.
How about the self-esteem? I mean, the physical is not as hard as the mental and the self-esteem, right?
The physical took about 2 years. The mental and the spiritual took me a lot longer because I was just playing old tapes and beliefs and thoughts that I had about myself. But one day I was just, you know what? Enough. Like, this is not what God intends for my life. Yeah.
So what was, I know you said like, this is enough, but something must have happened for you to like decide, okay, this is enough. Did something happen for you to like,
I was super depressed. I mean, the fact that I was afraid to go out of my house because I was afraid of people looking at me, that was like a really low moment in my life. But I had always been someone who loved being around people. And I just felt like, what am I doing? I'm in my 20s. I am living with a lot of fear and a lot of doubt about myself. I don't feel very confident about who I am. I can't even look in the mirror. It took me a long time to be able to look in the mirror at myself because I looked so different. And one day I just thought, if I don't ever get out of this, I'm going to be stuck here forever, wishing life had been different. And I was like, you know what? This is not working for me. And it was a real struggle in the beginning because, my subconscious mind was like, no, stay here. Just stay in the apartment. You're safe. And I was just like, no, I'm not listening to you anymore.
Right. So how did you defy your unconscious mind? Because the unconscious mind is super powerful, right?
It's super powerful and it's sneaky.
Yeah.
It's so sneaky. I just knew all of the fear and the doubt and the worry and the frustration and the confusion. They weren't they weren't coming from God.
Mm.
You know what I mean? And I just put it like this, I became very spiritual. Wasn't so spiritual before then, you know, grew up going to Catholic church, but never really had a relationship with God. And it wasn't until I was completely broken that I finally got on my knees and surrendered, you know?
Mm-hmm.
As
So
we
what
sometimes,
what does spirituality means to you now? I mean, you talked about you are religious, were, I don't know. I mean, but so what does that mean? And now being spiritual, and you, because you said, right, there was a disconnect with God
oh
when,
yeah,
yeah.
right. So, you know, my family's from the South, so I grew up going to church with my grandparents and had heard of the Bible, not really looked at it. And we lived in Connecticut, and so we went to church during like the holidays. So I never had that real connection, you know, like it it was almost like God is somebody I don't really know.
Mm-hmm.
But it wasn't until I was like just down on my luck, I mean, just feeling so much despair, that I like got a Bible. But then I got 10 Bibles because I couldn't figure out any of the, I'm like, I don't even know what they're talking about in the Bible. So maybe I'll get another Bible, and that will be, and then I'll be able to understand it. But it was because I didn't make that connection to God, you know, like to really have that relationship.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, spirituality is just, it's not about religion. It's
Mm-hmm.
really about just having um, this personal connection with Him and having faith and knowing, you know, like I always heard about faith, right? And so
Mm-hmm.
we're like, yeah, faith is, you got to have faith so when you don't see it, you still believe it. But it's not until you're in those dark moments
Mm-hmm.
when you're like, okay, this is where faith really is going to come into play,
Mm-hmm.
especially when you're an entrepreneur, because you know, there's ups and downs and ebbs and flows, and you've got to be grounded in something, or you're just going to fall for anything, you
Mm-hmm.
know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, what is this obsession of yours to help with female entrepreneurs? Like, how did that start for you? Like, are you like specifically targeting coaches?
Well, yeah, let me share with you why. So, when I started off as a coach, I started as a health coach and then I was a nutritionist
Mm-hmm.
because I saw how healing my body physically, what it did for me, and I wanted to help other women do the same. And I just remember starting off in my business and thinking, I'm going to get a beautiful website and everyone's going to come and I'm going to make money.
I know. I thought the same too. When I was a healer, I'm like, alrighty, I will do God's work now, and I'm doing God's work now. So with a domain and a website, boom, my business will be Boomtown Charlie. No.
Right, right. And I'm super visual, so I like everything to be pretty and beautiful. And I was like, well, I've got a pretty website, but I wasn't making any money. And I just realized how much it just weighed on my self-esteem. You know, I doubted my abilities. I compared myself. I second guessed if I was good at what I was doing. So I know what that's like. I know what that mental game can be like as entrepreneurs.
Mm-hmm.
And so I really want to help women to kind of move past that and release those blocks that are keeping them from really sharing their gifts and showing their greatness. And so I have such a passion to help other women do that because I know what it was like.
So, in your opinion, what is like the number one thing that is really stopping women from success? I mean, whatever success
Like,
means, right? But in
right.
this
We don't
particular,
like talking about it, but there's a lot of shame and guilt, and I'm not good enough.
hmm.
Right? So we look at it as, you know, feeling confident and comparing ourselves, but what's underneath that is feeling good enough, feeling loved. And so we start to get all these beliefs that a lot of times have come into our minds when we were little. You know, when we were 6 or 7, it's what we saw in the family. We've carried these beliefs and these thoughts, these emotions and these feelings throughout our whole life. And so sometimes we are blocking our own success, but we don't realize it. So we feel like, well, once I do all the marketing and all the sales and yada, yada, yada. But it's like, have you really worked on your inner game, that personal stuff in you, like that deep connection with who you are? You
So
know?
what does inner game mean? In case people do not understand the terminology.
Right. So inner game is that voice inside of you that's either saying how amazing you are, how great you are, how much you love yourself, or the inner game, that mindset that's like, Oh, you'll never be good enough. No one will ever love you. You'll never find success. Money is a bad thing. If you want money, then you can't be a good person. It's all those thoughts that keep you really isolating yourself from what you truly say you desire. Yeah.
So, what would be the number one tip or tool or strategy that you can give some of our audience, like what they can do right now so that they can feel better about themselves?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because it's about getting immediate relief. First thing you do is I want you to write down 3 amazing things about yourself. Some people say, oh, I can't find anything amazing about myself. It's in there. It's just been buried up by the fear, the doubt, and the worry. When you have those 3 things, I want you to meditate on it, meaning you're going to look at them, you're going to speak them, you're going to record them in your phone, you're going to look in the mirror, and you're going to say them to yourself. And you need to do that every single day for at least 10 days. Like that's like the first thing, because you need to energetically change how you think about yourself.
So for 10 days?
10 days.
So what if somebody breaks in? It sounds easy, 10 days. I make people do it for 21 days and like for the rest of their lives, right? So, but 10 days. So what if somebody misses like the second day and then like, okay, I'm going to continue. Do they start from day 1 again? Or?
Well, see, part of this, especially when you're talking about energy, because everything is energy. So we have to start with what our intention is.
Mm-hmm.
So our intention is to do it for 10 days, right? Now, we're going to do it past that, but you don't want to overwhelm the subconscious mind by saying, oh, you can't do it that long, and so you end up doing it for 1 day. So it's like, let's do it for 10 days. Now, let's say that you do it for a couple days and then you forget. Just set your intention and add an extra day at the end. It's okay. I think when we get into the, oh, I messed up, I didn't do the 10 days, it's like, that's part of what we're trying to heal is that rigidity, that masculine pushing energy. That's what's really holding us back. Now, yes, there is the balance of the masculine and the feminine. And there are times, especially if you're an entrepreneur and you're doing a launch, there is going to be a little bit more masculine energy. Mm-hmm. But you got to love yourself. You got to allow that feminine energy to be in your heart chakra. You want to know. It's like no one can love us if we don't love us. Mm-hmm. No one is going to think much of what you do unless you think much of what you do. So it's not like coming from an ego place, but it's like we're a child of God. Mm-hmm. Like that's like and love is the highest vibration. Mm-hmm. So I would say that's like the first thing. So you do that for 3 days. Then what's really great is to just think about like, what is it that you truly desire? And the way that you do that is you need to get still, get quiet, because when we're running at 100 miles an hour, you can't hear anything. Mm-hmm. So many women will say, oh, I don't hear my intuition. Hello, because it's talking to you, but you're going too fast. You can't hear. So get still, get quiet, and really ask yourself, like, what is it that you truly desire? So I like to do that by putting my hands on my heart chakra, which is between the chest, and taking a deep breath in and asking the question, what is it that my heart desires? And then you want to listen and you want to wait to hear something. Now you may get it in the form of a sound. You may have a knowing, but get some paper out, start writing, whatever thought comes up, right? And if you just keep writing, don't go into the like, how is this going to happen? Because you're stopping the flow of energy. Those are the 2 things I think have the biggest change quickly.
I think it's not that women have this very strong sixth sense and our intuition is super strong, right? I think it's not about not getting it. It's about, is this for real? Like me? Really? Like how? So I think it's that doubt.
Oh, doubt
yeah. Of the inner voice.
I think doubt in general, we feel things or we hear things, but then we doubt and say, well, maybe it's not that. It can't be that easy, or maybe it's something else. So we're always looking outside of ourselves for something. And sometimes you got to go within, but just having that quiet place and that space to just really connect with what it is you truly desire, not what you think you should be doing, not what you should be doing that's going to make you money. Although, money is the freedom to do more of what you love. but really, like, what is it that you feel like you're called to do? Like, what is your soul wanting to do?
So you talked about like, the inner voice and the inner game and, like the doubts and worry. So
Yeah.
how do the women then like build confidence, because you talk about it's a relationship with God, and these little intuition is really the messages from God and the angels, right? So how can
Right.
they build the trust and actually, because like both you and I know, the more you listen to it, the more you trust it, the louder it becomes, and the more, I wouldn't say accurate, but the more you trust it. So how can we build that confidence within ourselves first?
Right. So once you've written down like three amazing things about yourself, building confidence is like using a muscle. It's you getting into action. So
Mm-hmm.
if it means that, you wake up every day and say, I am enough. I love myself. I'm amazing at the job I do. I love my body. My body allows me to do many, many things. You've got to start moving into action, because the more that we stay stuck,
Mm-hmm.
it's like you're weakening your confidence, and you're acting as if whatever it is you want to feel or you want to experience or you want to accomplish has already happened, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because the universe
So
doesn't
fake it
know,
till you make it.
right? I heard that when I was little and I was like, what does that mean? But then I was like, well, that's not really being real though if you do that. But really, it's like you've got to change the frequency of how you're feeling and thinking, because
Mm-hmm.
when we come from a place of fear and doubt and worry, and I know all those places so well because I was feeling those for a long, long time. But it was once I started to move into action, and this is what these women should do, you start to get like this little pep in your step, and you look for little successes that you can do. What are some small tangible things that you can do, so that when you do that, you're like, you feel good about yourself. You look in the mirror, there's a different energy. You look different in your clothes, you feel different, but you've got to start getting into action and moving closer to whatever it is you desire. So really pay attention to your thoughts, really set that intention. Intention is a powerful thing. It can really help us. I
Mm-hmm.
didn't grow up knowing anything about intention. Nobody ever talked to me about it. But as I work in this business and just work on even my own personal life, setting intentions help me so much,
Mm-hmm.
because it allows me to just keep moving closer to what I desire. And anytime, those doubts or fears come up, I can say, how I'm acting right now, is this going to lead me closer to what I desire? Or is this just going to keep what I say I really want away? So, yeah, the confidence is just moving and being visible and being okay with just sharing who you are and your story and not worrying about what people think. Because really, when you think about it, when we bring the wall down as women, we're more alike than we are different.
Mm-hmm.
We have a lot of the same emotions. We just have to realize that we're not being judged. We've all been there.
Mm-hmm. I was gonna ask you, like, but I think you answered the question. Like, we all feel fear, right?
Yes.
And we all want to feel happy. Happy. Like, who
Yes.
wants to be in this fear energy all the time? And you talked about change that frequency.
Yes.
So, as somebody who is new, how
Mhm.
can we jump from one frequency to the other, like, seamlessly? Again, I understand it's a practice, it's building that muscle.
Right.
So seriously, nobody wants to be upset all the time, but it's just this used to it. I'm used to
Oh,
seeing
yeah.
this energy. So
Yeah, and
is
it
there
feels
any tools,
natural.
right? So is there any tools that you can
Mhm.
help us move from that fear, that anger, that sadness to just being still? Or, I mean, you don't have to be happy, but just being still
Right.
so that to
You
raise
know
your
what?
frequency.
Absolutely. The first tool is really our awareness.
Mm.
So let's say, for instance, you have a business and you feel yourself starting to worry about money. You've got bills, and you're hearing crickets. The phone isn't ringing, and you're like, "How am I going to pay the bill?" Like immediately, as soon as that thought comes, you got to be aware of it, and you just got to switch it to what it is you desire. You got to switch it to
So you
something that.
actually need to know what you desire then, right? Because then what are you going to switch to?
Well, the thing is, if you have a fear around not having enough money,
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure making more money is going to give you the freedom to pay your bills. And you know what I'm saying? So
Mm-hmm.
immediately it's like, okay, I was thinking about, I don't have enough money. Okay, you know what? I do. There's more than enough money. Money flows through me and to me from God. You've got to change it right there in the moment. See, what we do is we just let that worry, that doubt, that fear, it festers for so long. It goes from hours into days into weeks. And then we can't eat, or we eat too much, or, it's all these things. So in that moment, you got to become aware of it and change it right there. Like what I do is I like to act like those emotions are like a person. I'm like, no, thank you. I got this. Like I have to talk to it, right? Because I feel like that's how I am going to get that emotion, that vibration to go away. If I just sit in my mind and think, like that, for me, that doesn't work. I got to like physically say something. Yeah. No,
cool.
thank you. I got this. Thank you anyway.
Cool. And I know you shared with me that you are up-leveling, upgrading your branding. So
Yes.
what is your new branding going to be?
So, what's really interesting? So for a really long time, I have felt intuitive, really empathic, could feel energy. But there was something in me that was like, I don't know if I want to do that as a business. I'm not sure. Can I make money at it? But one day, like this voice spoke to me and said, like, why aren't you sharing your gifts? Like, why are you being stingy? So, like, why are you being stingy? Like our gifts aren't just for us. Our gifts come to us, but they're for others. So I just realized
I love it. I have to say it again.
Our gifts flow to us, but they're not for us. They're for us to give to others. So it's like, we all have gifts. I'm not so special. So when you aren't sharing who you are and what your gifts are, like you're being stingy with the world. Like who wants that? Right? It's and I'll get back to your question, but just imagine if your daughter gave you a gift and she said, Mommy, this is the most amazing thing. I thought about you for Mother's Day. And you said to her, no, thank you. I don't want that. Like that would never happen. Well, God gives us gifts too. When we don't share them, when we don't share who we are blocking ourselves from lovingly giving to others. So my brand really is about helping the female entrepreneur to master those thoughts, that mindset, that thing that's keeping her back from really feeling and seeing her gifts and really owning her talents and her abilities and her inner brilliance. And so it's really about coming from an energetic place with feminine energy in terms of mastering the mindset. And so that's my new branding. And so I'm coming with a new program. I do Mindset Monday calls every Monday where we go in for 30 minutes and talk about things related to mindset and confidence and so many other things. And then I do an energy healing at the end.
That's cool. That's cool. So another question just popped in my head. I mean, has suicide ever crossed your mind? Because when I was going down, I wish I was dead.
Well, I don't think the word suicide, but there were times when I was like, there's got to be something better than what I'm feeling, because I just remember, and I get teary-eyed, but I remember when I had my surgery and my mom looked at me and the amount of pain that she felt from seeing her child in this much pain was way too much for me to bear. Like I had such a love for her that I didn't want her to be sad. And I just remember saying, like, God, do you love me? Because if you do, like, how could this happen to me? How could you let this happen? I didn't have a relationship with him at the time. I mean, it was like off on, like I went to church, I didn't, but it was really not a real connection. But it was never where I felt like, because it was like, I think in my upbringing, it was like, you don't kill yourself because you're going to hell if you do.
That's so Catholic.
But I just prayed and I was like, you know what? I don't even know what I'm praying, but I'm going to get on my knees and just ask for some help.
The question, I think now I know why I'm guided to ask this, because like you don't have the upbringing of killing yourself. I mean, I've been conditioned that way. I mean, the church, the school will tell you can't kill yourself, go to hell, right? You don't want to go to hell. But there are thoughts. Women go through like these bad cycles, but we all know there's always a breakdown before a breakthrough. But if you don't give them tools to ride over these breakdown periods, they will literally kill themselves. Like now in Singapore, like 16-year-old, 15-year-old children killing themselves because I'm not good enough, I didn't get the A, blah, 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 blah. So if they didn't kill themselves at the age of 16, they will do something to themselves at the later years. So my heart really goes out to these women. So, I mean, you have gone through those dark times. Before we let you go, I mean, give us some tools. I mean, if this woman is watching this right now and she's going through that tough time, like she's about to jump off the edge, I'm not sure if suicide's on your mind, but definitely it was at my time but the only thing that kept me alive was my children, you know? If without my children, what's there to lose?
Right.
Life is meaningless. I don't have a good job. I'm like blah blah blah. All these little things.
Absolutely.
We all know that, like what you said, Tracy. They have gifts, and this is a time where they can actually discover those gifts if they allow. So
you got to get some support, though. Support is so big, and it's not about me saying hire someone. It's like you've got to reach out to somebody, because the more that we stay silent, the more that we suffer as women. When we don't speak our voice, when we aren't asking for help, it's just a painful existence. And I know it because for a long time I was too embarrassed to ask for help. I knew my family loved me, but I didn't have somebody that I could talk about the pain I was going through. You know, I loved my mom and she was amazing, but we didn't have that kind of relationship where we talked openly. And I think that's what we as women need. You know, I can walk into a room and energetically I can feel the woman who is feeling at her lowest, and I gravitate towards her because I know what it's like when you smile, but you're suffering inside. So we got to get support. And in this online world where there's just so many people, it's really easy as women to start to doubt yourself because you're looking at what everyone else is doing. First, stop looking at the pretty picture because you don't know what's behind it, for sure. That's a big thing. It took me a long time to even be able to photograph myself because I didn't like
photos are beautiful.
Thank you. But I have to tell you, each time I stand in front of a photographer, it's like the first time I'm doing it because it's still the memories, you know what I'm saying? The way I speak, not having nerves on my face. It's a whole healing thing. So if you are listening and you are a woman and you're feeling like, what is the use? You pick up that phone, you send an email, you send a text to somebody. And we as women, we got to be there for each other. You know, no more, I'm at this level and you're not, so I can't have any connection. We are all connected because we're women. And that's like the first thing that I would say. Yeah.
Cool. Awesome. Yeah. I mean, a lot of people think, oh, I need to hire a therapist or whatever it is. I think the basic thing is go grab a girlfriend, grab a cousin, grab a sister, grab your mother, grab somebody to just release that tension out.
Yeah. Because it bubbles. What it does is like all this energy, it's like it bubbles. It's so like intense that all you want to do is just get rid of yourself because you just can't take it anymore. And it's like, we got to speak. And we as women, we got to speak more love and light into other women.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, we have to, I can't
celebrate.
We have to edify. Like I remember in church, they talked about edifying. Like that was something. And we got to do that. We got to celebrate each other and just speak love and see, we got to see the good in ourselves and we got to see the good in others.
So true. So thank you for that. I mean, it's super deep conversation. And because you've gone through such a, I don't know, deep journey that not many people go through. So I guess you're the best person to talk about this. So where can we find you? Is your website ready?
My website is going through a little bit of transformation, but you can absolutely go there. It's tracyneely.com. You can also find me on Facebook, which is Tracy L. Neely, Neely, and I share tips on just helping you to transform not only just your mind, but just seeing yourself in a different light, building your confidence and your self-esteem, looking at your gifts, reconnecting to them, because we all have gifts. They'll be revealed to us when we're ready to receive them.
Amen.
is to really start to connect with who we are at a deep level. And I would just, love to say hello to your visitors if they want to come and say hello to me. And I'm just here to help women, really.
Right. I love what Tracy said early on about when you are ready, only when you're ready, your gifts will be revealed to you. And so many people are like, oh, what's my life purpose? Da, 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 da. I mean, like if you're always searching, then you'll never find the answer. Why don't you let the answer come to you? Because it always works that way. Why, go through the harder way?
Right. You know what's so funny about purpose, and I know we have to end our call, but we always look for the purpose to be like what we do. Like, what's my purpose? What is the thing in life that I can love to do and it can make me money? But I really believe your purpose is who you are. And when you are living who you are, then you are living your purpose. And your purpose is driving your passion to do what it is you love.
I so agree. I mean, but then again, our journey is, we have to get out of survival mode. And by getting out of survival mode, it's all about the money, Then once you get the money and then you realize it's not going to give you that happiness, then is when I find life begins.
Right. But when we're chasing, trust me, for years, I couldn't say the word money because I'd have terrible pains in my stomach. I had I don't know what it was, but it was like my mother struggled with money. So I struggled. We either had it or we didn't. But when you think about money, and everyone is like, listen, I don't have all that time for all that other nonsense mindset stuff. I need to make money. But energetically, you are blocking the money from coming to you if you don't work on your inside, right? We can look all gorgeous on the outside, but if we feel hollow, if we feel shame, if we feel guilt, if we don't feel worthy, then it's only going to take us so far. Yeah. And it doesn't matter whether you make $1 or you make 6 million. We as women all deal with stuff.
Right. The stuff never ends, When you are struggling, you think when I make 5,000, all my problems will go away. No, in fact, you have more problems because you want more stuff, and then you want to do more things and you got to make more money to build that school in Africa. And then you got to make sure you fund it, properly, and you actually have more stuff. So
like your school of money that you're coming out with, right?
Yeah, I mean, that school of money is literally to help women from ground up because, to be honest, Tracy, everybody wants to afford 15K. Everybody wants to be able to afford that life. But how can we do that if we don't help people learn how to afford that in the more authentic way by learning how to make money? I call this making happy money. What do I call this? Gosh, I remember. Make happy money movement. You want to make happy money. You don't want to be a slave.
Yeah.
You want to make happy money.
Energy. Right. Like money is energy, right? And it's funny when people used to tell me, well, money is just energy. I'm like, all the people that are telling me that make a lot of money, but it really is. It flows to us and through us. It's like a circle, so I just feel like we just got to really start thinking about, like, what is it I truly desire for my life? And what do I want to get rid of? Do I want to feel fear for the rest of my life? Do I not want to feel confident? Do I want to, say I want a business, but I'm really not being visible? I'm just staying behind the computer working on the time and creating because I'm really afraid for you to know who I really am because maybe I feel like a fraud. And, it's like all of these things that we think about. So it's so wonderful what you're doing with the spiritual entrepreneurs where people have a place. Women have a place to connect and really share on a deep level, and that it's not about anything else but just support.
Thank you so much. So what Tracy is talking about is the Spiritual Entrepreneurs Group. If you are not part of their group, we highly suggest that you get yourself into the group and, you will meet women like Tracy, and she's also part of the group. You can always start a thread and conversation with Tracy, and I'm pretty sure she's happy to.
Absolutely. Anytime. Yeah.
All right, so thank you for joining us. Thank you for being here with us. And I look forward to seeing you again on another episode of the Startup Celebrity Show. All right, see you soon. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.